X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Zach the Zealous. Hi Adam. Hey.
Hi from the age of Hyboria?
Hyborian age, yes.
In the land of Samaria? Is it a K or a S?
Conan the Chimerian, I think.
Chimerian?
I think actually there's gonna be some real Conan heads who are mad at me because I don't know that much about Conan the Barbarian. I think it's Chimeria.
Okay.
Conan of Chimeria. I don't know. I've never watched any Conan movies.
Oh, you've never seen Conan the
not.
Barbarian or the Destroyer?
I have not. I do know what is best in life. That I know.
I mean, if you've ever want to see James Earl Jones like transform into a giant snake, it's pretty rad. At least Adam, the first one.
But Adam, I know I just said that. Do you know what is best in life?
I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. What's best in life, Zach?
I hear it's to crush your enemies, to see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentations of their women.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, we're talking about... We are actually talking about Conan the Barbarian in this one. And dang it, if I would have thought about this for more than 5 seconds, Adam, we would have done the what if story where Wolverine meets Conan the Barbarian.
Well, that's okay. You know, we have some sword and sorcery stories this week, and who requested this jam?
This jam was requested by Patreon supporter Jeremy Rosenstein. Jeremy went on over to patreon.com/comicsxf and threw some money our way. And actually, do you know where Jeremy first heard about our podcast?
Twitter, another podcast.
It was in the John Romita Jr. signing line at New York City Comic Con in 2019 in the before times.
Get out.
Yeah.
This is a word of mouth from me?
Yes, from you, Adam, from you.
I love it. Oh, my goodness.
You were really nice and gave them stickers.
Jeremy, it was a pleasure to meet you. I'm bad with names.
There's so many faces. People, I don't want to get it twisted because it's not that I don't appreciate it, but I've gotten my picture taken with people at cons, and it's the weirdest thing because we're just two dummies in bedrooms that aren't even ours recording a podcast.
Hey, every once in a while, you know, I guess once we return to the public eye, when we can actually go outside again, it is always weird when people know who we are, but it's delightful at the same time.
It's a joy, and no one should, because we are just random dummies who Conan would smite with his very large sword.
But like you said, sometimes we have stickers or pins or, you know, other paraphernalia.
We have stuff that we bought too much of with our logo on it, and we only want one. So we can give you the rest. That's what happens. I once gave Teeny Howard a button that says Gambit Vapes.
I love it. That's a great one.
That was a good present.
I actually just ran out of the silver sparkly stickers that I've been giving out at cons for a while. So I guess I'll have to order some more. Now, Zach.
Yeah, what's up?
This first story that we're talking about, you did an interesting thing before the show went on the air.
I was working through some stuff on Maine, yes.
You did something I don't think you've ever done before, which is survey the public about this story. And we got a very surprising result back.
Actually, I'm not that surprised by the result. I think we're going to do some data analysis here. Because I think the result in what it shows is very interesting.
It's fascinating.
It's a fascinating result. Not just what the core result is, but what the secondary and tertiary choices look like here. So I am on the Twitter now, pulling up this poll for. And I had it quit immediately as we started recording. I planned this out ahead of time because we're adults. So these are the final results.
Final results.
For the question, are Uncanny X-Men 190 and 191 in Age Undreamed Of, a.k.a. that Kulan Gath story where everyone becomes Conan characters, good comics? 65% of those surveyed, and there were 258 votes here, so not a terrible sample size, said yes, those are good comics. 24% of people said no, those are bad comics. And an additional 11% of people said, actually, they are the worst comics. Which I think says that, yes, this story is in general divisive, and among the primary Claremont canon, maybe among the most divisive. Because I'm not sure whether the story from 94 to, 260, 271 or whatever it is that Claremont leaves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any story that's going to be like this divisive. It's The Age Undreamed Of.
Yes, The Age Undreamt Of.
Undreamed Of. Excuse me.
Undreamed Of. I distinctly remember the moment that I was working through my Claremont, 16 years of Claremont, and hit this in smack dab in a X-Men Essentials book and went, was it what? Because
that's
it's
beautiful,
crazy.
And the reason that's beautiful is because when I was doing my Claremont run for the first time, and I've only done the full Claremont once, like just sat down front to back, and that's all I read was the Claremont X-Men. I've only done the full Claremont runs. I've probably read darn near all these issues at least 3 times otherwise.
It sounds like a magic trick, the full Claremont.
The full Claremont. No, when I read these, I got to this, and this comes at an interesting point. So, let's see, the From the Ashes stuff ends, around 175, maybe a little bit later. It's got a few big stories there. But then the book kind of gets into this weird rut where there are good individual issues, like Life Death happens in here. That issue where Colossus fights Juggernaut in a bar is in this. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the stories are also bad. Like there's the part of Life Death that everyone forgets where the Dire Wraiths are there. There's the weird thing where Rachel and Magma try and murder Selene. It's just the book seemed to have lost direction after a certain point. Like once Cyclops left, Claremont wasn't sure where to take it. And this weird pivot into, by the way, this is Claremont's D&D campaign now in 1985. It made me take pause and say, do I need to read something else for a while? And it's odd that you've had that reaction. I had that reaction. And I know at least 2 other people from Comics XF have made that exact same claim. So,
and yet we've also run into some very fierce defenders of this as well.
There are people who love it.
Look, I just watched both Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider movies recently, so I understand
for you
the joys and the pains of bad filmmaking or bad art. This, to me, is not great. And we should probably get into... We have yet to even describe what this is. So we mentioned Conan the Barbarian before. And back in that series, there was a sorcerer villain by the name of Kulan Gath. Not a particularly super important character, but...
He's in 2 issues.
Popped up on occasion. And there is an issue from 1979 of Marvel Team Up where Kulan Gath, via a pretty necklace that is being displayed at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, takes over a museum guard's body and fights Spider-Man and Red Sonja, who takes over Mary Jane Parker's body.
Okay, that sounds great, actually.
That issue, written by Chris Claremont, drawn by John Byrne. It's actually a lot of fun. At the end of the issue, Peter Parker throws the necklace into the water. I'm assuming the Hudson. And the issue before this of X-Men, this guy, Jaime, he discovers the necklace.
He becomes oddly important for the next year and a half of comics.
Yes, he gets mugged at the end of the issue, and the guy who mugs him becomes Kulan Gath, and the cold open of this issue is basically 5 pages of being explained that Kulan Gath has transformed Manhattan into what?
Hyboria. It's
Hyboria.
It's everyone got the they put on the Conan filter on Manhattan and said, "Hey y'all, this is what's going on." So you get Val Cooper explaining this to the military like this is a normal thing to happen.
Right. For several pages.
A lot of exposition here, and it's Claremont exposition, so it's already pretty thick to begin with. He's using a lot of verbiage here. And we start getting exposed to this world. We find out that Kulan Gath is using the Morlocks as his personal assassins. We find out that he doesn't like Spider-Man because of that one thing. We find out that Storm and Callisto's a pirate, which, again, that part rules. And Jerry Duggan, to his credit, is saying Callisto should be a pirate more often in Marauders. And that's great. And she does have a good fight with a depowered Storm on a pirate ship, which is the highlight of these 2 issues. That part is great. John Romita draws it phenomenally. John Romita Jr., excuse me. We're talking about Jar Jar.
Yes.
Jr.
Jr. is here.
Not to be confused with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
No.
That's a band, Adam. That's a band.
That's a band? I assume Dale Earnhardt Jr. maybe had a son and it was a third?
No, it's a band called Dale Earnhardt Jr., which Dale Earnhardt Jr. thought was hilarious. It said, no, y'all can keep using that name. But then SEO got the best of them, and they said, everyone searching for Dale Earnhardt Jr. is just getting results for Dale Earnhardt Jr. because Google is saying that, nope, you typed Jr. twice for some reason, you idiots.
Jeez Louise.
They're now just Jr., which is confusing for JR. But
wow. That's also fun, but confusing. Yeah, probably going to get that JR result. There's also some very weird elements here that really don't sit right with me, including Xavier being molded together with Caliban into this weird slug-like creature that then tracks mutants.
I have no problem with that. It's gross. Listen, I have become someone who enjoys body horror comics now.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I blame the works of Zach Thompson and Lonnie Nadler exclusively for that. But I like body horror comics now, so I was like, okay, this is grotesque and terrible. I love it.
Yeah, everybody, like you said, everybody kind of looks like He-Man, loincloths, that kind of stuff, ripped sleeves. And Storm, it kind of gets out and then has to, her and Callisto have to go back in and save the day. And, in the middle of this, we've got Callisto being turned into a mute, no-mouth tentacle monster.
Claremont is working through his fetishes on the page again.
Loves his tentacles.
Loves it.
And, we get these little peeks at different, characters in the age. There's a librarian that is a main character here. Okay.
Spider-Man gets crucified. Have we talked about
Spider-Man? Yep, Spider-Man gets crucified. And it's a lot. The word count is... Oh, God. The exposition is just... It's too much. It's too much.
There's a fanzine that... from the 80s that somebody on the Comics XF Discord posted recently. and it's an interview with Claremont, and someone asked him, is there any work of yours that you have been, anything recently that you've been unhappy with that you wrote? And he said, oh, these 2 issues, they sucked. They were bad, and they should have been an annual, because Jim Shooter made me take the first, quarter of the second issue to recap the first issue, because it was very confusing. And I shouldn't have done that. I should have waited for my annuals. And man, does this feel like a Claremont annual.
I am so glad that you read that out loud, because I have the same exact thought as I'm reading this. And this feels exactly like many of the X-Men annuals. It begins, with some weird scenario, and then it wraps up with some, hey, we fixed it. This would have worked a lot better if you had been able to take out a lot of that recap exposition and even the intro exposition and just tell more of the story. Have more time for JR to draw this thing properly, because it's you can tell that he and Dan Green are rushed.
Oh yeah. If you don't change the plot at all, but you take out those, 8 to 10 pages of heavy exposition.
Blah, blah. Yeah.
And you just turn it into, hey, everyone's Conan characters now, roll with it. Because that's all it is. That's all it is. And it's so much of it that's saying that everyone's Conan characters now. The Avengers is teaming up with the X-Men. The Avengers are Conan characters too. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You could tell a coherent story here, but because Claremont and Romita are so rushed here, it just turns into kind of a slog. It's a pain to read. It's got a weird twist where it turns out that Magma was actually Selene all along.
Ooh.
Selene does evil witch stuff. She right. disposes of Kulan Gath, and she's like, now I shall be the evil queen. And then the X-Men beat her.
Yeah, and the solution to this is actually kind of interesting, which is Strange and Magic actually kind of perform a time travel trick here, which allows Nimrod to take out the beggar so that he never mugs the other guy for the necklace. The necklace ends up in the subway. And then we start to get into the Nimrod stuff. So
yeah, then Nimrod makes a friend and lives in their house.
Right.
I think Nimrod's a bad character in general. I think Hickman and Powers has made him the greatest thing in the world, but that's just not how he was written, and I think his design's actually pretty bad, and the only thing that's been good is that R.B. Silva made him a big old teddy bear that you want to cuddle with instead of bad geometry. Man,
he melts your brain for a million years.
Man, I tell you what, realizing that Nimrod's design is just weird shapes and then realizing that Nimrod's a JR creation, that all tracks now.
He's definitely 100% JR.
He's like, man, I love geometry, but I just don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. And it turns out it's to make everyone squares and rectangles eventually. He'll get there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because of how many characters he has to draw throughout these 2 issues, and you could tell he's on a timeline, it just doesn't look good. There are certain highlights, like you mentioned, the sword battle with Storm and Callisto, but most of this just looks rushed. Mm-hmm. And so, my biggest issue with this is not the central conceit of the story. I think this could be a fun story. Is it a fun story in the way that it is told, in the sheer verbiage that I have to go through to understand what is happening on each page? No, it is not fun. I don't think it's great to look at, and I really don't like reading it.
Less than a year later, Claremont will do Asgardian War with Art Adams.
Thank you.
Asgardian War is the good version of this.
Exactly.
Listen, if you want a sword and sorcery X-Men story, just do the
That's
one
good.
where you... Listen, what do you want? Do you want Storm being awesome? Cool, it's got that. Do you want some fun New Mutant stuff? It's got that. Do you want Avengers? Thor's there. He's the only good one. So what?
Yeah.
These Avengers are Vision and Star Fox. Come on.
Yeah. And, the other thing that Asgardian Wars enabled Art Adams to do was to take the time to actually draw those massive issues with a ton of detail. JRJR does not have the time to do, Infinity Gauntlet style crossover with these two issues and this many characters. It's just not, it's not enough time. So I understand why people may have like a weird liking for these two issues and the idea behind them. But the execution is not great.
Yeah, listen, I feel like there's people who continue to be mad at us for this. But I've said my piece. I think this is the worst part of Claremont's original run. And I think that may or may not, we'll have to see, because I forget what we've said in the past. We say a lot of big declarative sentences here. But I think it's time to look at our big old list and see where it should fall, Adam.
Yeah, let's find out just how low it might go. So what's on this list, Zach?
Well, on this list is a 492 stories on the road to 500, Adam.
Wow.
Yeah, we're
close.
We're close enough that I'm concerned that what if 200's bad? Or 500? What if the 500th story sucks?
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Number 1 is House of X Powers of 10. Number 100 on our list is The Fall and Rise of the New Mutants from Zeb Wells. Number 200 is Phoenix Resurrection, The Return of Jean Grey. Number 300 on our list is Uncanny X-Men 535 to 538 Breaking Point. Number 400 on our list is Journey into Mystery, The Birth of Krakoa. And then the Draco's at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, this is not as bad as the Draco, but I do think we are probably in the 300s here.
I think that Journey into Mystery, The Birth of Krakoa, I'd rather read. It's got good art.
All right, so that would put it into the 400s. Wow.
Well, let's look at the Claremont stuff that's in the late 300s. At 377, we got New Mutants 36, Subway to Salvation. That one's better than this.
I mean, is it?
Yes.
I mean, that's not a good issue.
It's not good.
Yeah, I'm just looking around at what this is.
Adam, my friend, my buddy.
Yo.
You would rather read Wildcats X-Men than this. And that's a 401, baby.
Yeah, you're right. All right, you got me.
I know my audience. I know what we're looking for.
Let's talk annuals then.
Buddy.
I think this is probably better than Days of Future Present at 404. That's bad. That's longer and dumber than this.
This is exactly my same feeling as Days of Future Present. I don't like it. Man, Days of Future Present really is the lowest Claremont original run thing we have on here, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know that this is quite as bad as that. That is just the only thing saving that is that our Adams are on the 4th issue, and I don't know that puts it over the top of this.
It doesn't, but I would take that issue where Rachel has a funny hat over both of these in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Excalibur 31 is right above that at 403. And Excalibur 31 is, of course, the one where Nightcrawler goes to meet Krakoa's kid, Veggie Superior.
Oh, right. Yeah, that wasn't great.
It's not good.
No, that was bad too. Well, and above that is Day of the Atom, X-Men 157
That's
to
the Zorn retcon.
Oh, geez, that one's bad too.
Let's put it between this and Wildcats X-Men, buddy.
All right, I think we did it. All right, so this is our new 402, and haters, we're ready for you. Just bring it.
Listen. Tweet at us. Retweet this with your anger. Make sure specifically this episode you quote tweet and you say, I strongly disagree with these guys, but you should listen to them. And you know what? Speak with your dollars. Go to their Patreon and make them rank other stories that are like this so that they can, I don't know, it's a trick. It's a trick. If you give us engagement, whether it's hot or cold, it doesn't matter. Twitter don't care. Twitter's like, oh, this post is working. This is a small child who is like, I think that Wolverine is minor coded, so he should never kiss a girl. And we don't need to argue about the opinions of children here.
Oh boy,
I have lost the plot. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Well, let's get back on track with Wolverine of the House of Pabst.
Wait, what? Adam, what house? What house is he from? Is it from the house of Pabst?
Pabst Blue Ribbon, baby.
I've been saving a tall boy. Like I've been very thirsty this entire time, but I wanted that good ASMR content for our listeners to hear a 16 fluid ounce Pabst Blue Ribbon beer opening for that bit. I just want everyone to know my commitment here.
Your commitment is strong because. Ooh, you hear the?
Sorry, I had to drink and provide that smooth drinking ASMR content. People forgot we did ASMR content. I'm back, baby.
That's right. This is Savage Avengers. Jerry Dugan, Mike Diodato, and
Frank Martin Jr.
Yes.
Dio does digital stuff on this, so he's doing his own. But Frank Martin Jr. does the colors on this. Travis Lanham does the letters. This is a story from 2019 about a team that tentatively is Wolverine, the Punisher, Brother Voodoo, Elektra, Venom, and Conan the Barbarian from Hyborian times.
Yes, he is time displaced. I believe there was an Avengers story, right? That
No Way Home, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, by the way, Avengers No Way Home and Avengers No Surrender is pretty good. It's got like some Pepe Larraz art. You should check that out.
Yeah, I've read. I think I've read No Surrender. I think I remember enjoying that. Now, the main thing that is bringing all of these friends together is a giant bowl of bloody soup that is being stirred together of the most talented, the smartest, the wisest, the strongest, the deadliest, the most powerful. And it's being stirred together by a good friend, Kulangath, who is back. I guess the necklace worked again. I don't know, but this starts with an opera singer, sort of a Pavarotti type, being thrown into this bowl of
one of Wolverine's best friends, his previously unseen best friend, which they established in the Free Comic Book Day prelude to this.
Wow, Wolverine gets around, doesn't he?
Listen, the man's old. He appreciates. Wolverine would never care for opera. Wolverine listens to like Merle Haggerty or something.
Which then leads to a meet cute between Conan and Wolverine, because Conan literally puts his sword into Wolverine's skull, which is kind of funny.
Jerry Duggan brings, if you like the humor sensibility that Duggan brought to books like Punisher Kill Crew, or even to some extent Marauders, are actually probably closer to his Cable. There's a lot to like in the way he deals with humor here. Like, this shouldn't be a funny book, but Uncle Jerry knows that he's dealing with the most high testosterone team possible, and also Elektra's there. And he's like, whatever, we're just gonna go with it, buds. We're gonna roll with it, see what happens. We're gonna have a fun time with this.
Oh, yeah. I think Jerry is very cognizant of the fact that this is an absolutely ludicrous pitch and a ridiculous idea for a story, and is really, like, just trying his best to make this fun. Like, this reminds me mostly of the kind of interesting back and forth sensibilities that he uses in his Uncanny Avengers run. You know, like he's good at putting these characters that really should not work together. And like, you know, when Venom just shows up because there was another Venom and it was trapped in a bottle for like thousands of years or whatever, you know, you're just like, you roll with it. You know what I mean?
So what's funny is on the Marvel Wikia, Venom's appearance in this, which, by the way, there's no way that Venom wasn't editorially mandated to have Venom on the team because Venom was so hot right now because of the Donny Cates stuff.
Yeah.
It's very funny. Venom's listed as a continuity error.
Oh, really?
Because Venom at this time in continuity was not technically connected to Eddie Brock. It's a whole thing, and I'd have to reread Donny Cates' Venom to fully remember it, and I don't want to. But they got separated for a hot second in 2019. But Jerry said, well, actually, this comic takes place during Empire, so don't worry, like around those times when Venom was back together. So don't worry about it. But in the Empire tie-in to this, Venom says, oh, hey, I remember you from that one adventure we had. So none of it really works, but it's fine.
Well, and it doesn't matter either because he
really
spends most of the arc that he's there as Conan's like arm / sword. So like it doesn't. He is a character, but not for very long.
Yeah, because the whole conceit on this is Kulan Gath. He's back because Jerry Duggan is one of the crazy folks who thinks that Uncanny X-Men 190 and 191 is good. So he's done 20 plus issues about Conan Goth in Savage Avengers. This plot is still going on. I read Savage Avengers every month.
He's actually revealed, spoiler alert, that Kulan Goth is not actually Kulan Goth, right? That Kulan Goth was actually a different wizard, and that he abducted a like young boy as his slave and then abused him, and that boy took over as Kulan Goth. So Kulan Goth is not who we thought he was.
Kulan Goth is never who he thought he was, though Kulan Goth is currently slowly eating Sumagoroth, you know, the Doctor Strange eyeball tentacle man.
Well, here he's resurrecting the Marrow God. And that seems to be his ultimate purpose, but by the end of the arc, we realize it also seems to just be a distraction.
Yeah, Kulan Goth ends up getting away. And it ends interestingly. And actually, I really love the ending of this. Because, you know, the Punisher's here. And the Punisher's here because Kulan Gath wanted to get the most deadly people in the world. So he said, well, the Punisher's killed everybody. So we should get him and put him in our blood bowl. And they're like, well, how do we get him,
Zach?
So they exhumed the tombs of his wife and children and brought them to the Savage Land. The Punisher's not thrilled about this. And Jerry Duggan writes a really good Punisher, especially in that his Punisher in this says absolutely nothing except for, I just want my kids back. Like, where are they? I just want them back. And that's almost every line of dialogue he has. It ends with him and Conan. Like, Conan understands this man. Conan's very confused about this world, but he understands the Punisher in a deep way.
Sure.
He's got that tale of woe.
Very similar origin story.
That mirth and might that Conan is known for. The gigantic melancholies. And him and Conan literally walk back from the Savage Land carrying the coffins of the Punisher's family as the team more or less disbands. Dr. Voodoo's here. He doesn't do much. Elektra's here hanging out with Punisher. He comes back. He's fine.
Yeah, he has to have his heart massaged back to life by Wolverine.
That part's very good.
A blood transfusion with healing factors. So okay.
All of that's actually great. I do like that.
Yeah, the Marrow God is kind of interesting. He kind of looks like a symbiote, but he's like a centaur, but he's like bigger than the Eiffel Tower. and he's just kind of knocking stuff over.
He's a big monster.
Yeah. Yeah. So not a lot happens, but it's kind of fun. If you're just if you are looking for the book that is titled Savage Avengers and you're wondering what could possibly bring these characters together and what could possibly make this an enjoyable romp, I think they succeed to large extent. I don't know if this book is for me necessarily, but I think it's successful in what it is doing.
There's a lot of ways that this book, drawn by Mike Diodato, could have been way worse.
Sure.
Way worse. In this, it walks a really fine line here. And I think in these 5 issues, it more or less succeeds. How do you feel about Diodato's work here?
I feel like my opinion of Diodato has shifted recently because he's been so gung-ho about NFTs.
NFTs are bad. He's dumb for thinking that. That's our official position. You can read what Dan Grote wrote on the website.
Yeah, not a big fan of these stupid, silly digital receipts for artwork. But that aside, I don't really dislike his artwork. I think he's talented at anatomy, and he's good at these kind of things. I do find that his style is a little not here as much, but in past things. I remember reading Original Sin, and I find his artwork to be kind of stiff. Characters look posed as opposed to being in motion. I don't know that that's as much of an issue here.
It's not actually. In my opinion, this is some of the better Diodato work I've seen.
It feels more fluid.
Stuff.
And I think the other thing that is working in his favor here is oftentimes when you get this guy on a book, he's being asked to draw and or trace these giant sort of spaceships or robotic or mechanical elements. And that I don't always when I see his work. Here he doesn't have to do any of that. He's drawing a castle and some mountains and stuff.
Bunch of hand ninjas to murder without remorse.
Right. Yeah. So I think the artwork works for the most part.
Yeah, me too. You want to rank this bad boy?
Yeah, let's do it. I think this is better than 402, which was an age of.
279 is Schism. I liked this better than Schism.
Hold on. I just want to look for something real quick, which is Hearts of Darkness.
It's not as good as Hearts of Darkness.
Which is that's all the way up at 214. Okay, so
no, we know.
Schism is down at 279. Yeah, I think we're probably in the right realm here.
249 is Here Comes Tomorrow, and I think Here Comes Tomorrow's better.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that high. I don't think this is as good as the 345 to 350 Uncanny, which is the Trial of Gambit. I don't even think this is as good as the Cannonball Fights Gladiator and then some space stuff arc of Uncanny 341 to 344.
I would say this is better than 274 Sabretooth in Charge from Weapon X. It would not be as good as Sabretooth in Charge had that Ricardo Lopez Ortiz art the whole time.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
But I'd say this is between Ambient Magnetic Fields from New X-Men and is our new 274.
That works. I think that's a great place for it.
Well, good, because that's where it shall forever be.
Yeah, and unfortunately our third story today does not have Kulan Goth in it. So Kulan Goth fans, stick around, but we are sorry. There's no more Kulan Goth content.
There's only so much Kulan Goth content that we can provide. Marvel, frankly, is kind of on them, because they've not provided that much Kulan Goth content in general. And you know what? Sometimes Marvel makes bad business decisions. This time, I think they made a good one. By not having Kulan Goth. I'm not talking about X-Men 1/2 that we're about to talk about. That one, I think fiscally was probably a good decision. Creatively,
I will say, we didn't mention this yet. Savage Avengers, not available on Marvel Unlimited. Not sure what the digital rights deal is with Conan.
It's something with the Howard estate. I don't know exactly what it is. No one has talked about it because it's all contractees.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's only select Conan content on Marvel Unlimited. I'm guessing eventually it'll be there, but I'm sure it has to do with pre-existing contracts.
I bet. But if you do want to track down Savage Avengers, you got to do it in print right now.
Or, I mean, like, Comixology exists. You can buy it.
Yes, I think you can buy it. But
yeah, you can
it's
buy
like a
it.
streaming service deal. Like you're not going to get it on the Unlimited. All right,
can't get it on Unlimited. You can't get it on Hoopla. That's what I know.
And the only way to get this third story was with Wizard Magazine, wasn't it?
It is. I don't know what issue that this was printed in, but what I can tell you is that Wizard Magazine was bad, and it's
it certainly is a marker of its time, especially in its
really
early
bad
years.
ways. I cannot emphasize enough. Wizard Magazine's not good, and any nostalgia that anyone has for it, like, you could read an article and be like, oh, this is good, and then I dare you to turn the page and read a second one, because there's at least 50-50 shot that there's something absolutely terrible.
It's, like I said, it's a product of its time, and if you want to learn more about that time, go be my guest. But I agree, it does not warrant your nostalgia. But this was, in the grand tradition of Wizard Magazine, a half issue. Did you have any of these, Zach? Half issues?
I don't think I own any, because the only ones I would want to own particularly are... Well, okay, Astro City 1/2 I would want to own, because Astro City 1/2 is easily the best thing that ever came out of Wizard Magazine, and possibly the best thing that Kurt Busiek has ever written.
Mm-hmm.
So Astro City 1/2 I don't have, I'd want. There is a 1/2 for Ultimate X-Men that isn't very good. It's fine. It's just another Ultimate X-Men story. It's all collected. And then there's this, which is X-Men 1/2 written by Todd DeZago with pencils by Mike Wieringo. So, like, that's good.
Yeah. I don't know if we've talked about Ringo and his art, but
he wouldn't have come up much.
No, but very talented. I like his style quite a bit. It's a real fun kind of like cartoony style, but he still keeps proportions, and it's kind of like very fluid style, and I think it works pretty well for this story. The idea is that the cast of the X-Men at this time, which consists of Colossus, Nightcrawler, Storm, Kitty Pryde, and Marrow. Oh, and Wolverine. Are trying to defeat a mysterious baddie.
While they're all mind controlled into thinking that it is like sword and sorcery times.
Right. So Nightcrawler is referred to as the Ulf, not the Elf. Everybody's sort of got different costumes on, and we really have half the team split from the other half, and they're both explaining how they've got to go defeat this like evil person. We don't know who it is. Ultimately, turns out to not actually be a sword and sorcery tale, because the big baddie here is Mesmero, and they're actually at a shopping mall.
Yeah, beans, Mesmero. He mind controlled everybody. Here's the thing about Mesmero. He's not even like the third or fourth best mind control-y villain that the X-Men have.
Right.
Like, Mastermind did Dark Phoenix Saga. You can't top that.
Nope.
Mastermind has that for the rest of his career. He did go brain dead afterwards, and that's unfortunate for him. I don't want to say that he had it coming, but he had it coming.
He had it coming.
You got Emma Frost, who can mess with your brain. You've got, I guess, Mojo has done some things like that with his whole brain messing up and stuff.
Arcade does it all the time.
Got Arcade. You got both of Mastermind's daughters.
Mm-hmm.
You got Cassandra Nova who will do it. You have the Shadow King. You have Legion will mess with you if he feels like it. Like, we are not want for options on mentalists when it comes to X-Men villains.
Well, at the time that this was published, we didn't have that full list, but at the same time,
We had a lot of it.
It is a ridiculous idea that Mesmero has just mind controlled an entire shopping mall into like following his whatever. Like, I guess he did it because he wanted to stop the X-Men from attacking him, but we're not clear on what he was actually doing there in the first place. And he doesn't get full control of the X-Men until they get up close to him, but yet he has full control of everybody else in the mall. Like, the power set is weird, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, I can't control you unless you're right next to me, but I've got all these other people under control. And, like, I don't know. If you can control the X-Men enough to make them think that they're in a sword and sorcery little village, why can't you take the next step to not make them want to kill you?
Listen, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying anything. Like, this isn't even Todd DeZago's best work on our list. That is Daydreamers Volume 1, Number 3. This is
light and meaningless is probably the best way to describe it. I think the art and the bright colors, it's a nice, like, fun, light comic to look at. But the story is literally nothing.
It's got Ringo art, so it's got that going for it, which is nice.
Like I said, I like looking at it. As a story, there's nothing here.
Speaking of stories that there were nothing here, is this better than the tie-in comic that Wizards of the Coast did to their card game that was a tie-in to the movie?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
this at least has like a story. I before we rank it though, I do want to just note why, like, the one thing I'd never quite understood, if you're doing a half issue or a 0 issue, a lot of those just were like an in-between issue. Like, it didn't actually happen before the first issue. Like, this clearly does not happen before the first issue of X-Men Volume 2.
Well, Adam, may I interest you in a Marvel -1 issue?
Right.
Because those exist, and that's what you're looking for, actually.
I guess I have to go to that instead of the Wizard mail-in exclusive. But yes, I do think that this is better than the movie special tie-in, which really didn't have much to do with the movie.
It's not better than IVX.
Where do we have that? IVX is at $3.98. Okay, so we're working our way down. Let's see. So
how do you feel about it compared to An Age Undreamed Of?
I feel like it's trying to do less. So
maybe a quarter as much, in fact.
Yeah, you know what? You have highlighted at 407 the Cyberforce X-Men crossover, which is equally as meaningless, but I thought that was slightly funnier.
Oh, Cyberforce X-Men is better than this, yeah.
Yes, so this would be a good new 408.
408, it's X-Men 1/2, and it's called Thrall, because they're under Mesmero's Thrall. It's not fair.
Listen, I get it.
Listen, this was 1998. Marvel was just trying to get checks wherever they could here. Any POs that they can be bringing in, that's a benefit for them.
Yeah. Well, if you are going to track down that issue, make sure you get the certificate of authenticity. You really want to make sure you have that.
You got to slab that bad boy.
Yeah, you can buy one for a couple bucks online.
Yeah, but not a slab 9.8 CGC copy, Adam.
Whew. Gotta slab those everything. Well, I think we survived our sword and sorcery adventure here, Zach.
We did. We should thank Jeremy again.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Jeremy did go on over to patreon.com/comicsxf, threw a few dollars our way, and made this all possible. If you want to be like Jeremy, you can go over there. Every dollar that you put in there supports the great writers over at Comics XF who are doing some phenomenal stuff. Just this last week, we put up an interview with our own Kenneth Laster, who has his own comic that's coming out that's like this future fantasy thing. He wrote it, drew it, lettered it, all this stuff. It's $2 on Gumroad. Make sure you check that out. And we've got other podcasts and stuff. The Chris's did a thing about Godzilla versus King Kong, which is great.
It was great.
Do
It's
you
really
love Godzilla versus... Liz Large was there, too, on
Yes.
Chris's on Infinite Earth. You guys don't know Liz if you only listen to this podcast and aren't a part of the Comics XF extended universe. But Liz is a major character in that universe. So go check it out. That's delightful. What else is delightful that's going on recently?
I mean, look, folks, if you missed Robert Secundus's amazing tour de force exploration of what the best fast food fish sandwich was, you need to go back and check that out. That was one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know how to say this like it doesn't sound like a joke about my dear friend Robert, but this is the only fast food fish sandwich video on the internet that truly contemplates existence in a deep and profound and moving way. And there's something both incredibly uncomfortable and insanely vulnerable about it that we all must check while this man does eat tartar sauce.
That right there is proof of the absolute unique quality of what we're doing in the website.
We're a
It's
weird
great.
website, Adam.
Yeah.
We're a really friggin' weird website.
It's great.
Yeah. This time next week I'll have my COVID juice in me, so
Nice.
that'll be fun. Actually, when you're listening to this, I have my COVID juice in me. I'm good, baby. I'm in good shape, Adam, and you're in good shape, right?
Yeah, I had my second shot last week, so
Yeah, we can hang out
I am
soon. It'll be great.
vaccinated. And folks, if you want to follow my vaccinated life, you can head on over to Arthur Stacy on Twitter. What are we doing next week, Zach?
Next week, we are going to fill in some 70s issues that we have yet to cover.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, we're going back to the 70s for 70s X-Men. And Adam, next week will get us very close.
Yeah, we're right there, man.
We're going to be
there.
We are edging on 500, and I'm very excited to see what happens next. But until then, folks, this has been Battle of the Atom, and we hope you survived the experience.
Get it!